Recently, I received a text message from a woman we helped move into safe and stable housing. She wrote, "I cannot tell you how much I appreciate your help with moving. I feel so much safer knowing that we don't have to look out our windows anymore. I can't thank you enough." I'll admit, emotionally reading that message, it was a powerful reminder of why this program exists and how much it matters. I'm incredibly proud to be part of the Rising Hope in this program, and this experience reaffirmed just how vital this program is, not only for those we serve directly, but for the strength and stability of our broader community. As the City of Ann Arbor prepares to adopt its upcoming budget, I urge you to continue investing in this work. Let's renew and fully fund Rising Hope for a third year. Let's continue centering those most impacted by the justice system. Let's protect housing choice voucher retention, and let's preserve the flexibility that makes this program so effective. Thank you.
Good evening, Kathy Griswold. As a council member, we passed a transportation plan that was based on Vision Zero. At the time, I said our plan bastardized Vision Zero, and everyone looked at me like, how could I say that? But now, a few years later, and many deaths and many serious injuries later, I think we can agree that we have a problem and what we're doing is not working. We heard that tonight. So, while I'm supposed to be talking about the budget, so I'll switch over to that. And this budget has many critical unmet needs in terms of transportation safety. We need illumination. There are things that Vision Zero proves works. Illumination. Crash site improvements. When we have a crash, we need to go out there and look at it. That's what Hoboken does with no deaths for 7 years. Do we do that? Do we even mention it? We had a serious injury crash on North University. No one mentioned it. We had another one just last week. Huron at Division. No one mentioned it. We need to be looking at every one of those, and we need to look at sight line obstructions. We don't do that. Our existing strategy is spending tens of millions of dollars on consultants, on planners, on everyone except engineers. Vision Zero, I'd like to remind you, has 6 core components: encourage, educate, engineer, enforce, evaluate, and equity. Nowhere in there is planning, nowhere in there is consultant. You might need a planner, you might need a consultant to achieve some of this, but you don't drive it with consultants. Regarding the two-way cycle track on Miller Road, there are 90 conflict points. I've mentioned this before. Nowhere in the world do we have a two-way cycle track with 90 conflict points. The only way we can approve that in Ann Arbor is we ignore sightline obstructions. In Ann Arbor, we are so smart we can see right around objects, I guess. So, unless we're going to have another review, as I've requested, of the two-way cycle track, we're going to end up spending a lot more money when it has to be improved. So I don't know if stadium is the right answer, the project but let's get a transportation engineer in here and let's evaluate it. And if it's going to save lives, then let's do it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council. Good to see you again. I was here last year in support of Rising Hope for housing. My name is John Walker. Collaboration, we've seen participants stabilize, reconnect with families, and build forward living lives. That's safer streets, fewer police calls, and a reduction in stress on our courts and jails. This program does not stop at housing. It's about building self-sufficiency. Again, I'm proof positive. With a secure place to live, and direct service support, individuals can finally focus on getting jobs, enrolling in programs, some re-entering college, and participate fully in our community. They become taxpayers, mentors, and leaders. By funding this partnership, you are not just lifting individuals, you are strengthening Ann Arbor's community and economy. Every dollar invested in Rising Hope saves far more in emergency services, incarceration costs, and shelter expenses. This is a smart, compassionate use of the city's resources. It reduces long-term costs and helps rebuild lives. Your continued support ensures that Ann Arbor leads the way in practical, evidence-based solutions for housing justice. Today, I'm not asking you just for funding. I'm asking you to exercise your vision. You've supported this 2 previous years. I'm asking you to do it again for the 3rd time. Rising Hope for Housing in a Brighter Way and our grant partners are providing housing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jeremy Haley, Ypsi Township. I'm all for making the street safe for bikes, but I'm just asking as you guys do that, keep in one mind is human behavior, because, you know, if you can't stop somebody driving by you and a head coming out of the car with an arm and a full water bottle to throw it at you, which somebody did to me, you can do whatever you want to make the street safe, but you can't stop that. And as you do things, keep that in mind, because luckily it did hit me. It hit the front wheel. Luckily it didn't go in between and cause me to flip over. This is when I lived in Dexter, just out riding back from bushes. Right outside the new housing project they put there. So as you can make things better, ask for more education, put driver education back in the schools, and actually teach people the right thing to do versus expect them by building infrastructure and expecting them to actually know what it does or what it means. Unless they know what it means and what it does no good. And with all the technology that people have and phones and all that stupid crap, how do you go against that? I mean, outlaw the screens? I specifically bought a car from 2012 that didn't have one of those things because it's so annoying at night. You get a bright light. You know, I've learned, didn't they teach in driving school? Not to have a bright light, but yet they put a screen right there in front of you now. It's like, makes no sense. But just keep the human component involved in this and behavior, because that's something that can and always will be unexpected. And if you ever did any experiments in science and writing up lab reports, they always wrote on, the teacher would always mark you down if you didn't mark down that there always could have been human error in your experiment, because you're a human and you're doing it, and there's always could be error. So thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Can you hear me? I'm scared to touch it. Okay. I'm Amanda Carlisle, a resident of Ward 4, and I also serve as the director of the Washtenaw Housing Alliance. Thank you for your continued support of programming and funding for people experiencing homelessness and housing insecurity. On Friday, President Donald Trump released a skinny budget request, signaling the federal administration's goal to gut many critical HUD programs and make changes to how federal funds will be allocated. Also on Friday, I received a call from someone who was just released from the county jail on Wednesday. They had housing before their jail stay and have since been released back to their housing. But while they were in jail, they still had bills to pay. Upon release, this person now has an unpaid utility bill amounting to over $400, and they made no income while in jail. Through the Rising Hope program, we should be able to help this person avoid eviction by bringing them up to speed on their utility bill and providing case management support as needed to assist them with further housing stability. It is the right thing to do and also much more cost-effective than the alternative of that person ending up in eviction court and on our streets. We don't know what the end result will be of the FY26 federal budget, but it doesn't look good, and we cannot rely on the federal government to support those who are most vulnerable in our community. Housing, food, and household goods are already too high for our lowest income neighbors. Thank you for your previous support of the Rising Hope program and other targeted allocations that help people experiencing homelessness and housing insecurity. Please fully fund this program to the greatest extent possible in this year's budget so that we can build upon the innovative and collaborative approach of the Rising Hope program that helps improve people's lives in our community. Lastly, I live near Stadium Boulevard and also support the stadium redesign pilot for better safety for everyone. I also signed the petition mentioned previously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Jim Atchison. I'm a resident of the Fifth Ward. I want to speak to the budget item about the road diet. I think I want to remind the council that as Ms. Griswold mentioned, we really do need to study safety and mishaps and study what needs to be done for increased safety. But I want to remind the council that transportation by vehicle is very important to the city of Ann Arbor. It's important to commerce. It's important to city residents. It's important to our status as a quasi-tourist town where we bring many tens of thousands of people in on a weekend, and then they leave, in a space of a few hours for athletic events. We need to have some roads that are multi-lane. We need to have some roads that allow a lot of people to move quickly. And also, in my travels throughout the city, I see regular examples of people's behavior that is not going to comport well, that's not going to be willing to accept all of our roads going down to one lane and traffic being more congested. They're not paying attention to what's going on. There's an activist community that's paying attention and lobbying you, but in my contact with people throughout the city, most people think we've overdone it with bike lanes, and we need to pause. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in-house that would like to speak at this public hearing? Is there anyone online who would like to speak at this public hearing?
Mayor Pro Tem, we have a couple people online. Adam Juskevich, do you have a comment?
Hello, this is Adam Juskevich calling from the 4th Ward. Recently, City Council passed a resolution recommitting to our goals of achieving Vision Zero by this year and to cutting vehicle miles traveled in half. Tonight, you're hearing from the public about how we would like you to spend our money. Unlike a certain former council member, I'm glad we have projects in progress like the Miller two-way cycle track, which will dramatically improve safety for people riding their bikes to and from downtown along Miller. It's great that we fix stuff when we need to resurface streets. However, I agree with other speakers that we need a bigger focus on our most dangerous corridors. As a signer of the Safety for Stadium Now petition, I urge you to appropriate funds under this budget to reconfigure or diet all remaining multi-lane segments of the Stadium and Maple corridor for a 2-year pilot. This conversion must include protected bicycle facilities and speed management devices to ensure that drivers do not endanger pedestrians, cyclists, or other drivers. The idea that we're doing overkill with bike lanes it's just absurd. We don't have nearly enough. I live near the only segment of the stadium corridor that has been dieted, the segment between just south of Pauline to 7th, and it's far and away the calmest, quietest part of the corridor, and consequently the best to bike or walk along or across. Getting in and out of my neighborhood on a bike or in a car is far better than before the diet. Traffic flows just fine. This has been the case across the city when we've done similar reconfigurations. We know road diets work. They make streets safer. They improve the experience for all road users. We need to design our streets to prioritize safety. and we need to focus on transportation in terms of people, not cars. Without federal funds from programs such as Safe Streets for All, we are going to need to step up and use our own money to fund these kinds of quick build projects. You specifically set aside money to fill in funding gaps to essential programs caused by the Trump administration, and this is an example of such a need. Let's put our money where our mouth is. Please fund Vision Zero quick build projects in general, and please fund a reconfiguration pilot on the stadium corridor in this year's budget. Thank you.
Thank you.
Evan Ivancic, do you have a comment?
Good evening. My name is Eric Ivancic, and I'm calling from the 3rd Ward. I want to add my support to including funding in this budget to extend the Stadium Road diet from Aldi all the way to Trader Joe's. This stretch passes by several schools, making safety improvements even more important. At this point, we don't need more studies, we need action. Most drivers are careful, but multi-lane roads encourage a few to speed, weave through traffic, and focus more on maneuvering around other cars than on the safety of pedestrians and cyclists. Many have wondered why the city hasn't made use of hardened bollards, and there have been murmurs that the state doesn't even allow them on our streets. But recently, our city administrator, Mr. Mahoney, requested funding for retractable bollards to protect downtown streets that we often close for pedestrian-oriented events. Given that, I urge the city to, in addition to the road diets on Stadium, add protected bike lanes and fully consider using hardened bollards as a protective barrier. Research has shown that protected bike lanes don't just make cycling safer, they make motorists safer as well. Please commit to taking this key step towards our Vision Zero goal, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Alex Lowe, do you have a comment?
Evening, this is Alex Lowe calling in from Ward 3. I have a really simple question about pedestrian safety in general and the lack of funding for road dieting stadium in particular. How many more people have to die? We have seen people dying because of our unsafe streets over the last several years, dying in broad daylight with clear sightlines. This is, while there is something to be said about making sure that there's visibility at night, the vast majority of the issue is during the day with clear sightlines in places where we simply prioritize people's convenience driving over the safety of anyone who is not inside a car. We've had people killed on motorcycles, on bicycles, crossing the street, all during the day. And every single one of those is, at least in part, the responsibility of the city. And if you're not going to fund these sorts of lane diets and other safety improvements, then it becomes partly your responsibility. I don't know that I could be willing to live with knowing that I'd killed someone. But maybe you are. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem, I believe those are all the callers we have online.
Would anyone else like to speak at this public hearing? Seeing no one, the public hearing is closed. We now have before us the work session minutes of March 11th, 2024, and the regular session meeting minutes of March 18th, 2024, moved by Councilmember Watson, seconded by Councilmember Dish. Any discussion of the minutes? All those in favor? Any opposed? They are approved. B1, an ordinance to amend Chapter 93 Alarm Systems of Title 7 of the Code of the City of Ann Arbor. Moved by Councilmember Watson, seconded by Councilmember Dish. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? It is approved. B2, an ordinance to amend Section 263 of Chapter 29 Water Rates of Title 2 of the Code of the City of Ann Arbor. Moved by Councilmember Iyer, seconded by Councilmember Cornell. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? It is approved. B3, an ordinance to amend Section 269 of Chapter 29 Stormwater Rates of Title II of the Code of the City of Ann Arbor. Moved by Councilmember Dish, seconded by Councilmember Malik. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? It is approved. B4, an ordinance to amend Section 264 of Chapter 29 Sewer Rates of Title II of the Code of the City of Ann Arbor. Moved by Councilmember Iyer, seconded by Councilmember Cornell. Discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? It is approved. C1, an ordinance to amend Chapter 55 Unified Development Code, rezoning of 3 acres from TWP Township District to PL Public Land District, Ann Arbor Public Schools property, 3801 Stone School Road. Moved by Councilmember Dish, seconded by Councilmember Malik. Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. C2, an ordinance to amend Chapter 55 zoning, rezoning of 2.65 acres from TWP Township District to PL Public Land District, 2862 Stone School Road. Moved by Councilmember Dish, seconded by Councilmember Watson. Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. C3, an ordinance to amend Chapter 55 zoning, rezoning of 9.859 acres from R4A Multifamily Dwelling District to PL Public Land District, Hickory Nature Area Expansion rezoning, 2325 Crystal Way. Moved by Councilmember Dish, seconded by Councilmember Cornell. Any discussion? Councilmember Dish.
Yeah, I just wanted to note that this is a 9.8 acre addition to the existing Hickory Nature Area, which was created in 2008 with the development of North Sky Condos on Pontiac Drive. This additional acreage is a contribution from a second housing development now known as University Trails, which was approved in 2019, and this area will remain as a nature area.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? It is approved. C4, an ordinance to amend Chapter 55 zoning, rezoning of 1.21 acres from PL Public Land District to D1 Downtown Core District, Downtown Library rezoning 343 South 5th Avenue. Moved by Councilmember Dish, seconded by Councilmember Cornell. Discussion. Councilmember Dish.
I just want to clarify so no one is confused. So this site currently includes the Ann Arbor District Library building and adjacent service parking lot. It doesn't have anything to do with the center of the city. In 2019, the Library Board commissioned a feasibility study to investigate potential redevelopment scenarios for a new downtown library that would have retail and housing and offices and who knows what more, but everything interesting and modern. And that report concluded that it is financially feasible to redevelop the site, but that doing so would require rezoning. And so noting that Chicago and Boston have already put housing on top of or alongside their libraries, I will also say that if this vision is realized, Ann Arbor would be the first city to locate housing on the main downtown branch of its library. So by approving this rezoning, if we all vote to do that, council takes the first step towards this ambitious goal.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? It is approved. C5, An ordinance to amend Section 530 of Chapter 55 Unified Development Code of Title 5 of the Code of the City of Ann Arbor, PUD modifications. Moved by Councilmember Dish, seconded by Councilmember Malik. Any discussion? Councilmember Dish.
Only very small, just to let you know that currently the city code requires that a PUD cannot be modified unless all owners with a property interest either participate in the modification or approve it. And while it is entirely appropriate that you need unanimous approval to establish a PUD, we wouldn't want to force that on unsuspecting individuals. It does not make sense at all to raise such impose such an obligation on requests to affect one portion of a PUD, one owner's portion of the PUD, because this virtually prevents a PUD from evolving over time and basically gives neighboring property owners veto power over the ability of others to pursue modifications to the existing zoning framework. There have been several examples over recent years of PUD zoning districts being restricted from evolution under our current framework. So this change initiated by staff would propose that any lot owner or condominium owners association would have the ability to seek a PUD modification as it relates to their parcel only. The city would retain the legislative authority to act upon any such request. So if we thought that someone was asking to do something that we felt was out of step or whatever it was, I mean, I guess we might need legal advice on how far our discretion extended. There is some oversight of this, but this is a very sensible, really small adjustment. So the Planning Commission unanimously approved it, and I'll be voting yes.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. C6, an ordinance to add sections 8533 through 8540 to Chapter 105 Housing Code of Title 8 Building Regulations of the Code of the City of Ann Arbor, Green Rental Housing. Moved by Councilmember Dish, seconded by Councilmember Cornell. Given that Councilmember Harrison has submitted several questions on this agenda item, as well as a series of potential amendments, but is unfortunately unable to be here this evening due to tragic family circumstances, I would request a motion to postpone this item to our first meeting in June. Moved by Councilmember Cornell, seconded by Councilmember Watson. Any discussion of the postponement? All those in favor? Opposed? The postponement is approved. DC1, a resolution to appoint members to the Ann Arbor Building Authority Board. Moved by Councilmember Dish, seconded by Councilmember Cornell. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? It is approved. City Attorney Cord, do we have the pleasure of a closed session this evening? No, thank you. We now have before us the clerk's report of communications, petitions, and referrals. Moved by Councilmember Watson, seconded by Councilmember Dish. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? It is approved. Do we have any further communications from our city attorney?
Today is Square Root Day, 5/5/25, but other than that.
Thank you very much. We now have arrived at our public comment overflow period, which provides the opportunity for remaining speakers from earlier in the meeting to continue to address council. The next speaker on our list, apologies, thank you, Stefan Trednoff.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to come in front of you again. Let's imagine for a second that Mrs. Jones and Mr. Jones graduated from University of Michigan and live in Ann Arbor. They rent a 2-bedroom. They have a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old. Mr. is working while Mrs. is having a really hard day. She takes the kids on a stroller and she walks down to the park in the center of the city. slowly walking by the trees and getting some fresh air to get away from the chaos. They're both trying to work to save some money to buy a house, which is very expensive in Ann Arbor. I'm personally in favor of development. We have an abundance of parks that we have to maintain. This is an opportunity for us to thin out on the parks and create some housing. I am pro-housing. I'm pro-development. I don't understand, we have spent $10 million to reinforce the base of the concrete of the library lot. What makes you believe that they cannot sustain a green environment? So, I'm advocating for the city. First of all, Mr. Jones is not going to go to the Diag and have footballs thrown around and so forth. People want a green space. They need a green space. And they walk right through it and watch their children play by the water. It is not an unreasonable thing. It's being done all over the world. I don't know, how can the library, who needs money, sustain a park? I don't understand the logic there. They can't get the money and they're going to maintain a park? How's that going to happen? So, we've been at this for a long time, and it would enhance the city a great deal to have green space. It would enhance the city. What can I say? It's up to you guys. You want to be remembered? The people that just filled all the spaces? Do you want to be remembered as that? We have ample space in the outskirts, North Campus, there is space. These beautiful students that are rich have to come down the stairs and go to the coffee house and go walk across the street to their lectures. It's ridiculous. So and the university has a responsibility to provide more housing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Jeremy Haley.
Good evening again, Jeremy Haley, Ipsy Township. First, I'd like to excuse me for the last meeting. I wasn't really feeling good, so I felt like I was kind of wandering, because that's kind of how it affects me a little bit. I am a voucher holder and have been for some time, and what I'd like to talk about that, I lived at Walkabout Creek, and they had the program as a tax credit program that was started out in 1996 for the property, which means they had market rate units on the site, but they also provided units for lower income people like myself on vouchers that the state gave them tax credits for, which still meant the property still, gave property taxes back to the community. And what I see is more and more places you're building, the units, they're all taken off the books. So it's leaving a hole where a tax-generating property or something like that could be there, also be for market rate plus in the same unit, where the property owner still pays property taxes to help the city and the municipality and the whole system. By taking places out of the market like that, you're making a hole and putting that tax burden on all the other taxpayers in the system, and raises their property taxes because no, this one's not. And it does hurt everybody. And it especially still hurts the people you're trying to help, because now they're trying to get the help they need, but they have less tax money generating to help them. So it's not helping them, if you can see that. And I'm all for helping people. I like to see more tax credit units where it helps the tax base and not takes away from it. And the last thing on the Arbor South one, the Housing Commission is going to be building 200 units there. And I don't think it's really equitable that they have the heat pump and the other buildings and the hotels is going to have random gas units, it's not equitable to say, hey, you're lower income, you got to deal with this, while the people over here paying market rate plus can go up to their gas furnace and whatever and crank up their heat whatever they want. That's not a very equitable issue to have, and basically the whole site should be, if you're going to do it, all be the same geothermal or heat pumps in all the buildings. And thank you.
Thank you. With no further public comment, do we have a motion to adjourn? Moved by Councilmember Dish, seconded by Councilmember Watson. All in favor? Opposed? We are adjourned.
That was easy.